on this incredible event. It is awesome. I travel to many events and programs around the country and around the world, and the amount of heart and soul that went into this program is visible. And I just want to say you guys have nothing to be stressed about. I see you guys walking around stressed. I think everyone's having a great time. Maybe let's show them that we're having a great time. So, I want to keep my remarks relatively brief. Normally, I don't like going after dinner. It's hard to go before dinner, it's hard to go after dinner. Either way, you're darned if you do, darned if you don't. Because after dinner, it's going to start setting in. I have a good 5-minute threshold where I've got your energy. And then I know you guys are going to start falling asleep. So I'm going to try very hard to keep you guys alert and awake. In doing so, I want you guys to engage with me, think with me, because this is a process. This is an interfaith program, interfaith gala, interfaith dinner, whatever we might call it. It's a time to bridge and bring all of our communities together and to begin to talk and understand each other and learn more about the other. But what is interfaith? I think that we as a generation, and that includes those who are in the room who are supporting the young generation, need to begin to redefine what interfaith means, interfaith engagement, and what exactly that entails. Because I don't think that it's sufficient to just talk about our religions and to just say, here are the facts about my religion, here are the facts about your religion, then what? I think, by the way, we're competing with a lot right now. So we have apparently Zumba going on over here for those who want to exercise. Interfaith conversation needs to be taken and redefined. For me, when I observed many of these programs at the mosque growing up, and when I used to go with my family, we'd go to a church or go to a synagogue or go somewhere else. And that's the other thing, by the way, we never stepped past mosques and synagogues. I think I was in for a shock when I got to college and realized there were other religions besides Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Ourselves, as human beings, as Americans and as Muslims, and I'm going to speak to the Muslims, but I'm also speaking to all the guests in the room. We ourselves don't need to market and sell whatever it is that we are or who we are. At the end of the day, we live who we are. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to interfaith dialogue, interfaith conversation, it's not just about what are the tenets, the 5 pillars of Islam, or what exactly do Christians believe, what exactly do Jews believe. I don't know about you, but my first question is, who are you? Who are you as a human being? Who are you as a person? What is your character? What are your actions in life? How is it that you give back to society? How is it that you elevate your community? These are the types of questions that matter more to me than memorization of certain things which we all should know and all should embrace as people of faith. But that means more to me when it comes to the true meaning of faith dialogue. When we talk about outreach, interfaith, and what we call in Arabic dawah, which is reaching out to people of a different faith and helping them learn about our faith and also engaging them on their own. Dawah is not something, in my perspective and opinion, and I will say, for the record, I was on the board of the MSA of Rutgers University. I was vice president, I was active in the Dawah committee, I was active in all of these engagements. But I would say that Dawah goes far beyond these little pamphlets. And this goes for all religions, by the way. It goes beyond these little pamphlets and discussions that we have where, who is this, or why do we do this, or what. This conversation, and these 6 months that I spent working with this woman, in my perspective, and it could have been anyone in this room, and I know you guys are all, mashallah, God bless, good leaders and active people and kind people, and you treat people with kindness. But that engagement for those 6 months, in my perspective, did more than 10 years of standing behind a dawah table and talking to people about my religion and marketing my religion. And I want to say something. For me, my engagement with her was completely sincere. She was a really, really good person. I had no reason but to be nice to her. Because she was my neighbor, and she became a friend, and we stayed in touch. But the fact is, this particular woman, when she goes home next Thanksgiving, and she speaks to these people that are her relatives, her uncle, her cousin, her grandchild, and they see what happens on the news, and they watch these terrible things that all of us watch in horror, wherever they happen and whoever commits them. And her grandson says something about the Muslim community. Maybe he generalizes. Maybe he says something that's unfortunately bigoted. Maybe he says something that isn't true, or is a half-truth, or whatever it is. This particular woman, I know she has my back as a Muslim. And this is the thing that we as people, as young people, as leaders, need to begin to understand and recognize. That our change in the world, and I will be cliche, I'm not going to apologize for it, Because when you look at Mahatma Gandhi's quote, and we say, be the change that you want to see in the world, people love that quote. They love that quote. How many people honestly act on it? How many people honestly have a day-to-day existence? I mean, it's great for Facebook. It's fantastic. You get a lot of likes. But the truth is, have you ever stopped and thought about it? And asked yourself, what am I doing to change what I see in the world? How am I engaging these human beings, our brothers and sisters in humanity, in a way that is with grace and kindness, in the way that actually honors the dignity of the tradition that we ourselves cherish? I'm not going to engage this particular woman in a way that basically coerces her, pushes things on her, pushes my beliefs on her, but rather those 6 months of grace where I helped her with her coffee, where she couldn't walk somewhere because she was really old and I helped her get there. This particular 6 months of my life, in my opinion, and I pray every day, transformed a family. That's how I define interfaith engagement. Because I genuinely believe that while it's important to learn about each other's religions, and I don't discredit that, I want to be clear on that. I've sat on many of those panels that I call boring. I have. But the reality is when I appreciate those efforts, I also understand that action, to be cliche, what? Speaks louder than words. How we treat each other on our day-to-day existence, that good impression, that positive meal, that laugh that we share, speaks volumes more than any brochure or pamphlet. And you know, one other thing that we must do as a community, and I say this as a community, I'm speaking to everyone in this room, I'm not just speaking to the Muslims in the room, I'm speaking to everyone in the room. It's wonderful to have programs that we sit together and share these joyous moments. It's a fantastic thing. But I challenge you on the outside, do you live an interfaith lifestyle? Do you yourself live what we see today in this world? When I got to college, I isolated myself. I stepped out of the box. And I should say I stepped in the box. And I realized that after 4 years, all of the friends that I had of these backgrounds and different traditions, especially particularly religious traditions, they were gone. Because my focus was so intrinsically placed within just the Muslim community. And that can go for people of other traditions as well, because I worked very closely with the Christian and Jewish community at Rutgers University. So it was the same for the Hillel folks. It was often the same for those who were in Christian fellowships. They were always together. And I would ask you, when we are making our friendships, you always want to have friends and close friends absolutely that share your values because they will understand you. That's the key. I understand that we all do that. Some of my best friends are Muslims because they understand my circumstances. But some of my best friends are Christians and Jews as well. And the thing is, I took for granted the idea that, you know what, they're just not going to get to know me, they're not going to respect me, they're not going to like me, they're not going to know me, they're not going to appreciate me, they're going to mock me, they're going to make me feel like I'm oppressed, degraded, down. In truth, that's never been the case. And I gave it a chance, and when I left college, I started to regain those friendships. I called up my childhood best friends and I said, we need to get together. How many times do I reach out and make sure that people in other communities feel comfortable in my circle? And that's why when I was upstairs and we were doing the prayer, I paused for a moment after the prayer and I said, you know what? Think, Sami, think. People who are in the room observing us, they don't know what's going on. They don't know why we're going up and down and up and down. There's no real understanding of it. So to take a moment and to explain something is not apologizing for yourself, is not having to explain yourself or having to defend yourself. But when people see so much misinformation and misunderstanding, it's really on us to educate. Don't assume that people are going to know. And it's not enough to just say, well, my religion doesn't teach that. And now you can tell I'm alluding to the world around us, which matters. And a lot of the things that we see are tragedies. And are things that we don't recognize as part of our traditions. But when we build interfaith relationships and friendships that are sincere and genuine, you have people like one of my other friends, when the Tsarnaev brothers did what they did about a year ago today, the tragedy in Boston. The first text that I got was one of my very dear friends, who's also Christian, and he just texted me once the news came out, and he said, can you explain this to me? And he said, can you explain it to me? He said, I don't understand how these things can happen and how they keep coming from a community that I know better about. I know you, so talk to me. He just wanted someone to talk to, and he trusted me. you know? And I was able to have an incredible heart-to-heart with him that day, because he's such a good guy. He's getting married this year, inviting his wedding, you know, such a good, sincere friend. But he told me, he said directly, because I know you, I don't want to listen to what I'm hearing about you and your community. I don't want to believe it. I want to know from you because you're a friend to me. And friendship means more to me than the media ever will. These relationships are what matter. And for us as a community, we have to begin to forge those relationships. We have to begin to open our doors, open our mosques, open our homes. I'm going to put a challenge out there for every person in this room. Because I will say, our Christian brothers and sisters, and our Jewish brothers and sisters, and others in here have done quite well at this. When we moved into a new neighborhood, the first invitation that we got in the mailbox was to a Seder. Is everyone familiar with what a Seder is? Passover just passed. So it was basically, it's the tradition, the Jewish tradition, on the first night of Passover, where the family gets together, they bring friends, and they basically discuss the story of Moses and the Exodus from Egypt. And we got this invitation from our next door neighbors who were Jewish, and we went. And they invited the entire neighborhood in addition to us. And we went, and we learned, and we sat there and we engaged and we chatted and we got to know them and we became good friends with our next door neighbors. I'm going to ask you something. Growing up, how many of you who are Muslims in this room, it's okay, you can embarrass yourselves a little bit, during Ramadan, ever had more than 3 or 4 Muslims at a family iftar? Non-Muslims, I'm sorry, at a family iftar. Raise your hand. Not a single person. Not a single person. I'm not raising my hand either, by the way. So I didn't. Not a single person. So I'm going to challenge you, because Ramadan is coming up. I'm going to challenge you to talk to your parents, for those of you who might be at home during Ramadan, it's in the summer. And I'm going to ask you to ask your parents to, one night during Ramadan, I know we're all busy, I understand the family's going here, the family's going there, especially if you're Arab or Pakistani or African American or whatever, you have a million friends and family friends, I get it. One night, invite 4 or 5 of the neighbors, open your around the area. Open your door, bring them in, sit down, and what are we going to say? We're going to say, oh no, but they drink. Oh no, but it's your house. You control the menu. Stop stressing. Oh no, but they won't understand us. You don't speak English? I mean, I hear the excuses, and I wonder, what are we making excuses about? Open your door, and say, Thursday evening, we're having an iftar dinner, and we would like you to join us. I guarantee you, they're going to have a little bit of a, oh, and then they're going to be like, awesome. They're not going to say, oh, get off my porch. They're going to say, awesome. And they're going to be there. And you will have done something incredible. You will have done something that is truly, truly the message of faith, outreach, friendship. So I challenge you. And I want to actually, are you guys all on Twitter? Who's on Twitter? Raise your hand. Okay. My handle is at my first name, last name. So it's on the card, the schedule for tonight, Sami Elmansoury. When you schedule, I want you to tweet to me that you scheduled it, that it's going to happen, that you talk to your parents, and that it's going to happen. You're going to have an interfaith iftar in your home. This is the direction that we as a community need to begin to go. Because when I talk to people again and again and again on all parts of this country, their biggest statement is, I don't know Muslims. I don't know who they are. I want to like them. I want to appreciate them as my neighbors and my friends, but I don't know them. Think about it. Be the change. One of the keys, as well, to engaging with a lesser known community, to a community out there, our country, our countrymen. One of the keys to seek that appreciation, and I don't mean necessarily acceptance, that everyone is all going to be the same. You can be united and not necessarily be uniform. There's a difference. But one of the keys to that appreciation, which is so critical, today, unfortunately, in those circles that I see out there, unfortunately the circles that often preach bigotry, those who don't realize that what they're saying doesn't represent anything with regard to what all of us in this room actually believe. When I see those people and I hear them speak, I realize something. As a community, Muslims in America, and this is something that our generation must change. gonna use a really harsh word. I don't know if I should do it or not. I don't want to keep it uplifted, but we're disposable. We're disposable. I don't believe that we are, but that's the perception. The perception is that with us or without us, America would either be neutral or it might even be better off without us. I've heard it to my face. I've been in many places and I've been to many programs and events and conferences, and I've heard it to my face. What exactly do you Muslims do? What exactly do you contribute? We don't see you guys in anything. High academia, the arts, you name it. Where are you? But you know what? When I step back and I reflect, that's our task. That is our task. We need to stop thinking that we have one foot in the door and one foot out of the door, because both feet need to step inside the door. And recognize that none of us, at least I'm not, Egypt, not going home anytime soon. A lot of issues over there to work out. This is my country. This is my only citizenship. This is where my children, my grandchildren, inshallah, God willing, will also live. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of what this country gives me. The opportunity that's given me. The blessings of this. Where other people around the world wouldn't even imagine this to be possible. We have made it possible with the grace of God. So it is on us to ask, what is our contribution? What is it that we are giving back? What is it that we have a talent in? What are we good at? What might it be? And I encourage and I urge our scholars, people who are, in different institutes, I encourage them to stop saying that every single industry, every single thing is haram point blank. It's not working. Everything. You can't do anything. You can be a doctor and an engineer. That's it. That's it. So you have a filmmaker who aspires to make powerful films, or you have someone else who comes forward and they say, I want to make Islamic arts or music, for example. Like, for example, the beautiful nasheed that we see playing everywhere. And someone says, no, they sound too happy. Stop it. Really? What is left? So it is incumbent upon our scholars to understand and recognize that we need to be able to contribute in a beautiful way, in a diverse way. That people will differ in their contribution. That not everybody's going to be a doctor. My father's a doctor. I have said it time and again, and I told my table, I don't like blood. The Muslim said that. Quote me. All you guys. I really don't. I'm kidding. I just don't. I get queasy. When I get a shot, I literally turn the other way and I shiver. So, you understand my point that what is it that we give back? For me, I'm an entrepreneur. Besides the other work that I do, I started a company because I have a passion in education. So I started a company. We do admissions counseling, we do exam, we do all this stuff because that was my passion. I was tutoring the SAT, and then I was like, this is the way that we must begin to think as Muslims, and that goes to the parents in the room as well. Challenge your children to come up with their talents. Ask them what they're good at. And if it's Xbox, I understand you might have an issue, parents. But yeah, it's something that actually has meaning. Encourage them. Foster something greater in them. The change makers are the ones that do something that they believe in. Those are the change makers, not mediocre doctors. The change makers are the ones that actually have passion for what they stand for in life. And when it comes to our contribution as Muslims, I ask everybody to ask what change they are going to be for the world that we see. And when it comes to those who may not be Muslim in the room, I encourage you to step beyond what you see. I encourage you to ask questions. I encourage you to recognize and understand that it's impossible that 1.6 billion people could possibly be all in one package. And I really encourage you, as much as I encourage my Muslim friends in the room to open your doors, I encourage you as well to open your hearts and to recognize that we may be in very strange times, but there is nothing and there should never ever be anything strange about this. So thank you, God bless you. Assalamu alaikum.